talking about some different chemical concoctions that go boom. He was telling me, hey, you said the right chemicals, you just didn't put the right ones together. Like this one right here, if you mix it with the .3 fluid, it's not going to do anything. Also, if you put this with the sugar, all you get is a few seconds of burning sugar, but it'll even put itself out. So, like, what are you doing? You're telling people stuff that's going to get them killed. I'm like, whoa, hold on a second. Are you sure? I want you to think about that. I want to think just for a moment on the statement you just made. You're literally trying to make explosives. Explosives go boom. Kind of the point to explaining this stuff that I'm explaining to you, like homemade rockets made out of sugar and other stuff. They're really cool, I admit it. I think they're cool. I don't mess around with them. I could. Now, here's the thing. I also made a video where I apologized about it. And of course, I do, to some degree, make it intentionally confusing, specifically on things like that. But also, I am genuinely having a communication issue all the time. And trying to impart my knowledge that helps me to have something where I'm trying to be productive towards society, and hopefully they learn something from my stupidity and my ignorance and my mistakes. A lot of people, when I make a mistake, they'll hang on it. Like, Sean, you said the wrong word, and I say, well, I'm sorry I did that. A lot of times, one lady, for example, she went off for about 45 minutes one day because I accidentally said the wrong last name. No, it was because I just said the first name and I got the wrong first name. And she wanted to argue for like 45 minutes. Meanwhile, I'm trying to change the subject back to what's going on. She was going to help me with getting a day in court. Now, you get one word wrong and somebody goes off 45 minutes, and then every time you talk to them, they bring it up again. Ooh. What's that got to do with explosives? Well, when I'm flustered, my words don't come out right. And when you hang on that for months or even years as an excuse to harm me, and then you want to tell me not to live in the past, I'm going to make a video about that one. See, this is frequent and ongoing abuse by the same exact predators by name. The people that I am trying to turn in, including Scott DaCosta, just Dual County alone with Scott DaCosta, no less than 11 separate occasions. No less than 11 occasions was I arrested for trying to turn him in. 11. And let's not even get started on how many jurisdictions he was allowed to send me to and deny me my rights by that. Now, these chemicals and propellants, the recipes are on the internet. Matter of fact, they're even on YouTube. These are pretty common, most of them. The ones that are not common, I don't tell you all about because, you kind of have to mess around a little bit and do things that are caustic, which means that it'll eat your skin. If you breathe it in, it'll eat your lungs. You don't want to mess with that. And I don't either. That's why I don't. One of the wonderful things about the rocket engines, the sugar rockets, is that I can see them. I can watch them. But I don't have to go through all the trouble and all the money of making them all the time. I mean, sure, I could. And once you've done it, you know that you can do it after that. So for a lot of stuff, I'll make one. With rockets, I don't. With explosives, I don't. And if I make a mistake where I've turned an explosive recipe that you can get off of like the King of Random or a channel like that, where you can take sugar rockets and literally turn them into explosives. Yeah, if you watch mine, you get to understand that I'm not trying to impart upon you the actual recipe for blowing yourself up like an idiot. I'm trying to impart upon you the knowledge of, let the professionals do that. If you find it absolutely necessary to have a sugar rocket motor, then write the recipe down in your wallet, or write it down on a card, put it in your wallet. You got it for later. A lot of times you'll find that if you write something down, you'll remember it. You'll remember it better. So, yeah, I make mistakes. I make them frequently because of my communication issues, because I'm overwhelmed, because I'm stuck in public, because I'm asked to do things that are not appropriate to do in public, and public is the only place I have to do them. These are things that all cost money, and it costs me money to go to the places in public where I can work on these things. In order to work on these things, I end up spending a whole lot of money to go to places like McDonald's and Starbucks, places with internet, where I'm still in public, where there's noises galore and all sorts of distractions. And see, here's the thing about being an autistic person stuck in public. I can't function. This ain't a choice. What I'm able to do, what I'm able to piece myself together by putting on the blinders, so to speak, and squeezing myself into this tiny corner of the world in my computer. I can try to focus, but I can only get so much done, and I miss my loved ones. And you guys want to pretend like because I'm autistic, I must be a retard who has no emotions. Like, hold on a second. Are you saying I'm a defective robot? Is that what you're trying to claim? That I am a slow robot? I'm not. And I'm not saying that you're claiming that I'm that literally. Obviously, it's metaphorically. Those of you who understand that, you go, see? Sean's telling the truth. It was a metaphor he was explaining. But my predators go through and they find one little part or piece and they go, see, he thinks he's a unicorn. He thinks he can control people's minds. No, it's a metaphor. And of course, then you guys think that all autistic people are retards and can't get metaphors, don't understand more metaphors. You claim that we don't understand you guys. We do understand you. We also have PTSD from the Catch-22. You tell us to do something that you do, and it works just fine for you. If I do it, I'm in trouble. So, I've seen a lot of guys put their hand on a strange woman's behind. That doesn't mean I'm going to do it. I have personally seen a lot of women and know a lot of women who have actually gone for that kind of advance because of the man who it was. Now, I got a question for you. Let's say you've never met me before in your life. You've never met Jason Momoa before in your life. You know Jason Momoa from TV, right? Momoa. Well, let's imagine. Let's imagine that you're in a bar, right? You're kind of hanging out with your friends and mingling a little bit, playing pool. Jason Momoa comes up to you and gets your attention by saying hello, and you turn to look at him. You realize it's Jason Momoa, and he steps in and face to face with you, real close, and he sticks his hand on your backside. Well, some of you would be highly offended and might smack him, and he might get in a lot of trouble for that, right? But also, yeah, for somebody like him, that definitely could work. And I'm not saying he's that kind of guy. What I'm trying to do is appeal to you ladies who listen to this. Like, what would you do? Would you be offended, or would you be like, oh my God, Jason Momoa just touched my booty? Of course, then there's the comfort thing. If he wanted to comfort you and make you feel at ease, he would have put his hand across the small of your back. He's got big hands. I mean, he's got big hands like Jackie Martindale wishes that she could find a man with big hands. And that'll go across the entire small of her back, basically. That's her fetish. It's not I guess it is intimacy, but it's not intercourse. It's comfort. That right there, putting your hand on the small of somebody's back. That's a lot more comforting, a lot more reassuring, and a lot less suggestive, correct? Now, either one of those, if Jason Momoa did those things, how would you react? I want you to be honest with yourself how you'd react. I want you to close your eyes and visualize that Jason Momoa just walked up to you, all right? He's got a big old grin on his face, and he just said hello. I mean, this is Jason Momoa from TV, or Momoa. How would you react? Now, what would you do if I did that? If I came up to you and I said hello with a big old grin on my face, I got no teeth. Hi! And then I step in and I put my hand, not even on your backside, if I just put it on the small of your back. We're in a bar, same scenario, you're mingling with your friends, and some filthy, stinky hobo come walking up all bald and scraggly, no teeth, and friggin' wrinkles, and just like, hi, hello. Sticks his hand in. That's not going to be something that you're going to be okay with. And you know what? I'm okay with that. I'm grossed out by mucus, my own and other people's. I am really grossed out by it. And so intimacy for me in a physical sense like that, no. Plus the physical intimacy that I've had has been extremely negative. All of it. Yeah, the lady I lost my virginity to was an adult. She was. But it was gross. And that's not her fault. You know, I didn't want to because it's gross. I was told, because she'd been stalking me since she was like 15 or 16. She's the girl that Mobley had butted when she was 17 because she wouldn't leave me alone. But A woman told me if I put out, she'd probably go away. Matter of fact, it was Janine Barrett that told me that. That's Derek Parrish's mom. She passed away in, well, it's been a few years now. Wow. So, why do I say things wrong? I say things wrong because I'm overwhelmed. The more overwhelming my environment is, the more difficulties I'm going to have speaking. And if I can't speak properly, I can't do much else. I can't safely operate a motor vehicle. I can't work on the computer stuff without shutting down completely, crying, curling up in a ball, and praying for death. When my car was taken in Longmont over the situation in KME is there, the whole intent there was no matter what, people are committing crimes against me, no matter what, my friends are promising me they'll do something, and while they're promising they'll do something, more and more crimes are being committed against me. Very explosive, and the communication issues were all theirs. Here's the reason for this. When somebody is in a state of crisis and they have come to you for help, they have just been assaulted. Whether it be sexual or physical makes absolutely no difference. None whatsoever. You are the first responder. You are their trusted adult. This goes exactly the same for a child. When a child comes to you and they have been abused, you are their trusted adult. You are the difference between a predator going to prison or that child having to normalize with that abuse for the rest of their life. You are the difference right then and there between that child having to endure that, starting at that point, every single time that it happens to her or him, it increases their chances of committing suicide or slicing themselves to ribbons. That's explosive communication there, isn't it? I tried to tell you, you wouldn't listen. I tried to tell you, you wouldn't listen. That's what that means. When your son blows his head off in your bedroom. That's what it means when your brother calls you into the room and shoots himself in front of you. That's what it means when she takes all them pills and starts herself a bubble bath. Jamming out some TLC. Don't go chasing waterfalls. Don't go chasing waterfalls. Just stick to the rivers and the lakes that you're used to. I know that you're gonna have it your way or nothing at all. But I think you're moving too fast. Yeah, my voice is hoarse, so I can't sing. That was actually in an article that I read. A lot of young women in the 90s killed themselves with pills in the bathtub. Listening to TLC, don't go chase waterfalls. Well, TLC. Because here's the thing. Back then we had these things called CD players. And you put that CD in there. This is right on the cusp. CDs and tapes both existed at the time. But you put it in there and you press play. It's not like it's today with an auto shuffle mix and it could be anybody. No, they was listening to TLC. The CD in the player was TLC and it was run out to the end. Or the tape in the player was TLC and tape was run out to the end. Speaker's still on. Explosive communication. When somebody's coming to you for help and they're scared, they're going to have communication issues. If you capitalize on that for your own gain, that is so horrible. My friends have an excuse in the fact that they're not trained. They're not trained professionals and they don't know what to do. I try to educate them. They refuse to look, they refuse to listen, and they say, I'm sorry, Sean, I don't know what to do. I send them the mandated reporter training stuff so that they can see that. They don't look at it and they say, dude, I don't know, dude. Yeah, I'm not sure how I can help you. Did you watch the mandated reporter video? No, man, I ain't got time. One lady literally argued with me on the phone for 6 hours. Every time I was going to hang up, she's like, no, please don't hang up on me. Please don't hang up on me. I don't have anyone else to talk to. I'm like, oh my God. And I felt so horrible too, because like, she said she was going to help me, and I'm on the phone for 6 hours, and probably about 3 hours into it, I realized there was a problem. 3 hours it took me to realize what was going on there. And that was only because she outright told me, because I was going to friggin' hang up on her. A lot of people had good ideas, good intentions. Given a different set of resources and a different set of circumstances. If somebody decides to take their allowance money and go buy the stuff to try to make a chemical concoction that I'm literally saying is a bad idea, and I gave them the wrong mix, and they mixed two inert chemicals, cool. Now in some of my videos I said it right, and in some of my videos I said it wrong, and in several of my videos I've explained that I've done both. And it's not necessarily intentional. But it's also the reason that I picked the ones that I did is specifically because of communication issues. I have to make all of my decisions based on communication issues. When I'm telling you that something has happened repeatedly in the past, there is a reason for it. When you say don't live in the past, you are literally dismissing everything. And you've got a dismissal for everything, don't you? It's not my problem. It's not my fault I was busy that weekend. Oh, I didn't say I promised. I didn't say promise. You have any idea how pissed off people get when they pull that one? Sean, yeah, I know I said I would help, but something came up. And I know that you were really dependent on me there, and I was a horrible friend, but dude, you got to understand I have a life too. And I say, yeah, I understand you have a life too. That's why you need to speak up about it. If you don't, the police will sell whatever narrative that they want. The Bollingers will sell whatever narrative they want. And the difference between me being abused for the rest of my life or not, it comes down to whether or not you come forward immediately when it makes a difference. A lot of people like to point out mistakes that I made. I do make mistakes. There's also a lot of people who want to call me a liar because I made mistakes. Or because I told the truth and they don't want anybody to believe it, which is more common. But I admit my mistakes. I understand that a little white lie can turn into a corpse real quick. I understand that interacting with alcoholics and drug addicts increases my risk of being murdered. I know that being homeless increases my chances of being murdered by other homeless people. It increases my chances of being murdered by the police. 96% of those killed by police in the United States last year, 96% of them were men. Men. Out of roughly half our population. So about 165 million males in the United States. So your chances of getting killed as a male in the United States are a lot greater than if you're a woman when it comes to the law enforcement community. But, it's one in a whole bunch of millions. The homeless population being about 500,000, about 600,000 now. That accounts for like 0.18% of our population. Or was it 0? Let me check it out. 500. Oh yeah, it's froze up still. Screw it. It's not a significant number. The homeless population is a tiny percentage of the American population. The male population is about half of the American population. When 0.18% of the population account for 60% of those who are killed by police, we have a very big problem. You want to talk about how 16% of the American population account for 24%? That's right. That's right, folks. All this BLM stuff is just making it easier. In 2019, 22% of those killed by police were black. 22%. In 2022, it had increased to 24%. So it increased by 2% out of a population of approximately 60 million individuals. There's about 60 million black folks in the United States. And the majority of those killed by police are males. So this is all stuff that needs to be looked into, that you need to look up yourself. When you guys know the statistics, when you watch these videos, even you web sleuth guys, you watch those videos and you look at those statistics and go, all right, hold on a second. There is something wrong with these numbers. There is no way that can be correct. There is no way that 81% of our jail and prison populations were homeless when arrested. Well, yeah, there is. If you're a transient, boom, instant conviction. It's easy. It's dependent upon whether or not they have room. Especially the jails. Is it Mardi Gras weekend? Well, then we should probably not have a bunch of hobos locked up, because there's going to be people in houses committing actual crimes that we're going to have to lock up. $81. That's right. That's a pretty significant number. You are in Boulder, Colorado, as a black person. You are, as far as getting arrested for your population size compared to white people being arrested for their population size, it's about a 5-to-1 chance as a black person. that you'll get arrested and convicted in Boulder, Colorado. Given your population size, of course. Now, what you don't see and what you don't hear is it's Mark Swanigan over and over and over again, and Demetrius over and over and over again, Mark Townsend over and over and over again. What do all these men have in common? What do all of these black men have in common? They're homeless. Mark Swanigan should have 2 or 3 false arrests, easy false arrest convictions, along with 2 assault convictions against the officers. But he's homeless. BLM don't care about homeless people. And also this was before BLM came out. For me, being autistic, being stuck in public, being in a situation where I can't function, where I am cut off from the resources that I need to do the things that I am asked or forced to do, with, of course, all of these different agencies knowing that I am incapable of doing those things for myself. That is preying on me. That is explosive communication. Good. The guy said he was waiting there for a half hour. 500,000 is what percent of 362 and I knew it called well for any of us. Northwest entering. Well, I don't know that one. Yeah, they go to college. There we go. I'll find out. Oh, it's not responding again. That's one thing is about getting stuff done. Stuck out here in public, constantly driving around. My stuff gets bumped and beaten, and stuff spilled on it, and dust on it, and ends up all too nasty. When I was arrested in Colorado for a crime I actually committed, by the way. You have no idea how hard it was for me to actually force myself to do that. But the paperwork, it was talking about how I had Pyrodex in my vehicle. I'm like, I already explained that. I already told you I had it. It's not like I was trying to hide it from you. I also told them about some of the other stuff that was in my vehicle that could have been mixed to make something much, much bigger and much, much louder. And they did write that down on my paperwork, that I did know what I was talking about and I was able to communicate it properly. There's also the fact that that's not what I'm down with. If I wanted to make sugar rockets, because I didn't want to spend all of the money to get the Estes rockets, because they're like $21 a pack now. Well, you figure you got to drive somewhere to do that, and you also have to take your time to make this stuff. I mean, you're really saving yourself money by buying an Estes rocket that has been professionally manufactured, and you're less likely to blow yourself up. When it comes to comfort, there's not a lot of things that are comforted by things blowing off around them. There are not many things in nature that like having things blow up next to them or in front of them or behind them. Things that go boom are scary. I like fireworks. I think they look cool. Some of them got really cool effects, which I really like. Some of them are just too loud. I don't need a bunch of whistles. Also, as an autistic person, I can't handle much of that. 4th of July down at the Jetsons. I love that. I'd go to the Jetsons, I'd hang out if I'd get overwhelmed with the fireworks and all of the smoke and all of the noise. I could go over to the shop and I could talk to Rory for a bit. Rory was usually over there, if it was a holiday. One holiday I even saw him over there by the garage talking to Father Marty before they lit off the cannon again. I think that was the year they only had 2 cannons that year, not 3. But it was great. It was fun. Oh, I realized I made a mistake here. I want and I need to pour that much in my drink. I'm already like. Oh, they travel fairly well. When it comes to explosive communication, obviously that's what this is about. Whether it's fireworks or conversations or music or the heater or the beeper or the water machine that's still running or another beeper or other people's conversations. This is all stuff that for somebody who's autistic is overwhelming. This is not a choice. You need to stop punishing me for that. But also when I am overwhelmed like that, especially when I'm in a state of crisis, if you're talking over me for any reason, every time that you talk over me, it's going to increase my anxiety, it's going to increase my fear, it's going to decrease my trust in you. If I ask you to please stop and listen, I know that you're going to continue talking over me, you're going to talk down at me like I'm retarded. Because I'm overwhelmed, this is okay. The more you do that, when a victim comes to you, and you do this especially to men, this is why women are 11 times more likely to be stalkers, but men are between 6 and 26 more times more likely to be convicted of it, depending on which region of the United States you're in. When it comes to explosives, absolutely I have the knowledge to go blow stuff up. And the saying, the application, there are very few problems that cannot be solved by the application of high explosives. I always thought that one was funny, but the reality is I'm not going to go making a bomb and driving it underneath the Twin Towers. Yes, I know how to manufacture firearms. I've literally done so. I have literally manufactured firearms. Not full auto, but very easily could be. And yes, I know how to convert certain firearms into full auto, but I don't. Why is it that I don't create things to go blow people up and make things to go shoot people? I believe in the Second Amendment right, absolutely. There are plenty of Americans who are exercising their Second Amendment right. No, they're not. They're whining they don't want the Second Amendment to be taken away from tyrants, while literally the Second Amendment is created so that you can use it against tyrants. The problem with these Second Amendmenters, these explosives lovers, these people who think that everything can be solved by shooting something, blowing something up, or beating it to death. The problem is the only time they use their First Amendment is to complain that they're afraid of something that isn't happening. The Second Amendment is not gone. It's being surgically dismantled because you guys are a bunch of weenies who aren't using it in the right way. The Second Amendment is not a hunting law. And the fact that Google actually has that up is very un-American. I mean, don't get me wrong, censorship is definitely wrong, but that needs to be set up as an obvious joke. America's full of dumb people. I'm not joking. All right, when you post that thing up about blinker fluid, there's idiots that are going to go out and try to get blinker fluid. When you post that thing up about how you can use regular vegetable oil because it says oil on the car, your pro tip, and somebody actually goes and does that, you know that you're doing something wrong. You know, there are dummies out there all over the place. You know, there are people who are just uneducated and don't know. There are people who are living in very sheltered lives in very poor neighborhoods included. It ain't just rich white girls living in their daddy's multi-million-dollar mansion that are that ignorant. You go to the projects anywhere in America, you're going to find somebody that dumb or that ignorant. And there's a difference between the two. Somebody who doesn't have much of an education, but they've been raising their brothers and sisters most of their lives, well, they know quite a bit about child care, but they may not know anything about vehicles. They may not have ever owned one, ever had the money for one. Now, when you got Google pretending that the Second Amendment is a hunting law, you know, that kind of deters a lot of Americans from being okay with guns. You guys are anti-guns because of gun violence. Well, you know what? Here's the problem. It's being used wrong. The government's not using the Second Amendment wrong. Gun owners are using the Second Amendment wrong. You have the right to keep and bear arms, which means, yes, you may use them for home defense. But that's not what your Second Amendment right is about. Yes, that is a type of tyrant. The Second Amendment allows you the use of the firearm to hunt. Yes, absolutely. You have the right to use it for that. But the reason that you have the right to keep it, that's really key right there. You have the right to keep it and to bear it. A lot of countries, you're not allowed to own a firearm. If you're in the military, you have to go to the barracks to get the sergeant to unlock your rifle. When it comes to communication, a lot of times what you've done is you've interrupted somebody who is in a state of crisis, especially if they're a male, to the point that they cannot communicate, and forcing them to try further is just harmful to them. Forcing somebody to try to do their taxes while you've got kids fighting in the background, 4th of July, and you are 20 feet away from where the fireworks are going off, that is what it is like trying to do something as an autistic person in a state of crisis just in a McDonald's like I'm doing now. You say, nobody's trying to hurt you. I'm aware. See, that's where your assumptions come in. Where you go, oh, Sean, you're just imagining it. You're just imagining people are trying to hurt you. No. There's people who hate me. Don't get me wrong. There's people who have hurt me. Absolutely. I've been assaulted in this town more than once. I've also broken up more than one crime in progress because I was a first responder, not a police officer, not a fireman. Those are third responders. Third responders. The first responder is you. You who are there. You who calls 911. You are the first responder. You are the first on the scene, or the first to do something about it, the first to initiate contact, the first to get a police officer there. You are the first one to get a fireman there. You had to call 911. That's the second responder, is the 911 operator, the dispatch. The third responder is the emergency services, the police, the fire department. But also, when you call the police like that, and the police show up about a crime, sometimes by the time they get there, the crime is defused, or the person who did it has already fled the scene. You are there right then and there. When it comes to doing things, you need to do things right. When I am telling you that the situation is explosive and volatile. It is because it is explosive and volatile. Making a disabled homeless man go in to speak to the police anywhere in the United States is like telling a Jew to go ask a Nazi for help. It's not going to happen. Not unless you're a pretty Jew. Or a rich Jew. And in that case, they're only going to be nice to you until they can take everything that you got and stick you in an oven. People are horrible. You say we should believe in human nature. Well, I believe in the power of bullies working together. I also believe in the power of good people working together, and that's why I make a distinction between good people and nice people. Nice people are cowards. Nice people live in a town of 500 or 2,000. Somebody goes missing. Their parents are running around trying to get help, and everybody's nonchalant about it. Oh, well, she'll probably get found. Man, she's probably just out there drinking with her buddies. You know, she probably just has a hangover somewhere. Well, how was it with Nathan Forrest? It ended up that he was murdered, and they found his corpse in Wyoming. How about Natalie Bollinger? She got her brains blown out at McIntosh Dairy, Thornton, Colorado, while on her knees by her boyfriend's 9mm Glock 19 at 6 to 15 inches from her head. Why did she get her brains blown out? Because that's what she wanted. That's what she asked for. Because of explosive communication or lack thereof. Assumptions really easy for you guys to push on, isn't it? A lot of you guys who are predatory, who have a history of being predatory towards a very specific woman. I mean, look at Tim Beeson. Tim Beeson literally had a history of physical and sexual abuse against Natalie Bollinger. Also, that included grooming. When she tried to leave him, he bought her a puppy. And she went back. Anna Hunka's husband did the same thing to reel her in. She was going to try to flee abuse in Pittsburgh. She was going to try to get to Boulder, Colorado, where her friend Nicole was. Sorry, Chelsea Nicole. What ended up happening, her husband bought her a dog, talked her into coming back, and then she died because she fell down over a seizure. Anna Hunka, I encourage you to look her name up on my channel, ANNAHUNKA. Anna Hunka. Her family didn't care. Her brothers didn't even show up. God, my shoulder hurts. Explosive communication. I was in contact with Anna Hunka. I was her rubber ducky when she took a bath. And so she called me her rubber ducky. Hey, rubber ducky. Hey, Anna. We'd talk on the phone and she'd send me pictures of her feet. I thought it was weird. Matter of fact, I ought to post those up. You guys get to see the effects. Anna Hunka was a victim of extreme abuse growing up. The cuts that you guys see, the explosive communication issues that you guys most likely see, more prevalent in women. The cutting, how does this start? Now, this is your preventative measures. This is how to tell if your daughter is being raped or molested or beaten. This is where you get to decide whether or not you are going to be an actual mother or if you are going to neglect your daughter into suicide. This is your moment. This is your moment to shine as a parent. Your daughter just came to you and told you that daddy touched her. You made the mistake. blowing her off. Now she is just cut on herself with a Lady Bick, and the counselor at school is having the cops show up because the counselor at that point isn't going to listen anymore. The counselor made the call because your daughter had her wrist wrapped up before class, and she made sure to wear a short sleeve shirt so that it would be prevalent so that people could see that she had a bandage, a gauze bandage on her wrist. And then everybody asks her, hey, what's going on? What happened to your wrist? She doesn't want to talk about it in public. She wants people to notice, though. That way, hopefully, somebody will talk to her in private and not talk over her and tell her how appropriate or inappropriate it is. You know how inappropriate that is for you to put on yourself. Here's the thing, self-harming behaviors are not self-harming behaviors. That is when your voice doesn't work, when all other options have failed. So, when you see your daughter there with the thing on her wrist and Lady Bick, that is your moment to shine as a parent. That is where you go to your daughter's rescue. You say, absolutely not. You are not putting her in a nuthatch for that. You are not. She came to me about an issue, and I blew it off, and I was a horrible parent for doing so, and I was wrong for doing so, but by God, I would rather go to hell than allow you to do this to my kid. We're going to go sit down. You, me, and my daughter, we're going to go sit down in one of your little interrogation rooms. You are not going to grill my child. You are not going to treat my child as if they might have made it up, or if they might have just maybe asked for it a little bit. Or maybe they might have led them on. You are going to not do those things. You are going to respect my daughter. You are going to listen to what she has to say. You are going to take it seriously. And you are not going to get stuck with that mentally ill tag that'll make it so that any man can rape her for the rest of her life, and any woman for that matter. Anybody who wants to abuse her financially, anybody who wants to abuse her physically, anybody who wants to abuse her sexually. It's her fault. She's making it up. Anybody who wants to take her to their house and lock her in their closet for a year. And when she finally escapes and she is batshit crazy from being locked in a friggin' closet for a year, and she's telling me, oh, she was locked in a closet for a year. Oh, dude, it's crazy Molly, she's mentally ill. It's crazy Alicia, she's mentally ill. It's just crazy Anna, she's mentally ill. Dude, don't even worry about it. Everybody knows she's schizophrenic. Like, seriously, she thinks she's been locked in a closet for a year. Well, have you seen her in the last year? No, but she's crazy. She was probably locked up in an institution. And of course, what happens when your little girl cuts on herself because you didn't listen? Daddy touched her and you didn't listen, and she cut on herself. What usually happens? A lot of times it's the parent that makes the call. Usually the mom and dad sit down and have a conversation, and the father is trying to convince the mother, hey, you know what? We need to have her committed to a hospital because she's cutting on herself. No. If that was a good dad, his first suggestion would have been to go whoever was making her feel that way, according to most Americans. Wanted to go grab a butcher knife and do something horrible. And that, again, is explosive communication. How many people have I recorded on my channel talking about killing people, and how many of them have actually done it? How many people have I had on my channel talking about if this happened to their family, they would kill somebody? They did this to my friends and family. Threatened my friends and family. Intimidated my friends and family. And no matter how much I thought what Natalie did was distasteful, no matter how much abuse it resulted in because of explosive miscommunication. For a second. My words may not come out right, but the information is sound. Just like that guy that I was talking about at the very beginning who was complaining to me that in one of my videos gave 2 different chemical concoctions that'll make propellants or the like, and that the chemical concoctions that I had said, even though I said the right chemicals, I mixed the ingredients to the wrong concoction. And he was explaining that basically doing that renders both of them inert. They won't work. It doesn't do anything. It doesn't become a propellant or an explosive. That's where a lot of you guys, you want to tell me that you're not lawyers, and then you want to tell me a bunch of legal stuff that you know for certain. Are you sure? Are you sure of that? Are you for certain of that? Because if you were certain of that, we'd be working on it. When I say I need a friend or family member to go in with me and turn it in, no, I don't have to have the evidence of the body cameras in order to turn in crimes by the cops. Take a look at how easy it is for the news media to get a hold of those body cameras. The news media can get a hold of those body cameras, but you're going to make Sean Schwartz go in by himself to his predators, to literally turn in his predators, to literally by name the predator they're trying to turn in. You make me turn in Amanda Jonas. Officer Amanda Jonas, you make me turn in to Officer Amanda Jonas. How is that acceptable? Officer Schmidt, you send me to Officer Schmidt to turn him into himself. You send me to Sheriff Scott DaCosta to turn in Scott DaCosta. And then you send me to Nebraska State Patrol Troop E to turn in the Sergeant of Nebraska State Patrol Troop E. I'm not seeing how you guys are all that intelligent. So if there's a miscommunication issue, I do apologize. If you guys take my stuff in a way that it's volatile, well, that's what you're trying to do with the abuse against me. Is you're trying to pretend like these situations mixed together in the way that they're mixed for me. That when you say, oh, well, more than one thing can be true. All right, in the next 10 seconds, this cup here will either explode or it won't. Both are possibilities. One of them is extremely not likely. All right, time is up. Now, we had 2 possibilities there. It could blow up, or it could just sit there. Did both of those events happen simultaneously? Did that thing blow up and sit there? No, only one event can happen. Only one of those 2 things can happen. If it had exploded, we would have evidence that it exploded rather than having evidence that it did not. So you need to use your brains. Explosive communication. If you understand that mixing 2 chemicals together will explode, and someone is telling you, hey, this thing exploded after these 2 chemicals mixed together, and you go, well, that can't happen. Well, it can, it did. If I say, hey, I've got video that shows that Yeah, there was a squirrel ran across my shelf. I've got the video of it and everything. A squirrel ran across the shelf, hit that one chemical. It fell down, bounced off the cat dish, broke and shattered, and spilled all over, such and such that was on the floor, and it lit on fire. Poof! Oh no, you're making it up. Well, see, that's the thing. Instead of saying I'm making it up, look at the evidence. The stuff that I'm able to record shows I told the truth. It also shows I have communication issues. It also shows that I go to the people I'm supposed to get help so that I can turn in crimes without police taking advantage of my communication issues. See, here's the thing. It's something that Teresa Massili was talking about too, is being treated like you're the criminal. When you go in there to turn in somebody who raped you, and you're told, well, are you sure you didn't maybe ask for it a little bit? Maybe you didn't, maybe you didn't want it a little bit? Are you sure you may not have inadvertently hinted to them that you wanted it? I also want to say that although I am against violence, I'm going to use a woman as the victim in this situation in specific so that you guys feel a little bit better about it. But I do feel the same way as the man as victim. If someone has been sexually assaulted and they come to you and you blow them off, I believe that equality would be locking you in a room with their predator. Yeah, I think you should be stuck with them. Of course, when the predator is dad and the person who ignored it is mom, I mean, really, do you want to lock a married couple in a prison cell together? When your daughter cuts on herself, that is your moment to shine. When your son's friend comes to you and says, hey, your son was talking to me about killing himself today, that is your moment to shine. Hey, dude, what's up? Now, trying to grill it out of them isn't going to work. The more you talk over them, the less likely they are to speak out. That girl in class, the more you want to say it loudly and publicly and bring up that she just cut on her wrist and she's got a gauze pad around it, the more she's going to shrink up and be afraid. Usually middle of first period, she gets called to the office if the teacher doesn't send her there immediately. What happens? They call the cops come and show up and they take her away on a suicide watch to a hospital, and then they call the parents. Or what they're supposed to do is call the parents before calling the police, but it depends upon the severity of the cuts. Now let's go back to Anna Hunka, another cutter just like Natalie Bollinger. Another person with a history of cutting on herself. Deep cuts. Some of the pictures that I have of her legs. This isn't the lady this isn't the scratching your skin and taping it up. This is the later advancement when you start doing so on your arms just a little deeper. Just a little deeper. But this time you're afraid of what happens when they take you to the hospital. You're afraid they're going to treat you like you're crazy and shove those drugs in you because you needed attention because nobody would listen to you about your dad raping you. Explosive communication. Well, explosive communication for Samuel Wilkins of Lodgepole, Nebraska, 1998. It was his older brother, Caleb Wilkinson, aka Cubby, sticking a gun in his face, calling his brother in, and then pulling the trigger. Explosive communication. Natalie Bollinger tried to get help. tried to get help with her predators. She tried to get a friend that she could trust that would help her with these things. And we did coordinate, and we were going to work together to try to turn these predators in and stop this abuse. What ended up happening instead, her predators gained control of her as she was afraid they would, and I was afraid they would. And on December 29th of 2017, Joseph Michael Lopez stuck a 9mm Glock 19 to Natalie Bollinger's head through the left temple while she was on her knees at McIntosh Dairy outside Thornton, Colorado. Explosive communication. Ryan Ingersoll died of a seizure. Anna Hunka died of a seizure.